How did the history of the African diaspora begin? In recent discussions, the question of how the history of the African diaspora began has become increasingly relevant. As people seek to understand the roots of African culture and its influence today, we look back at the origins of this significant journey. The history of the African diaspora began primarily with the forced migration of African peoples through the transatlantic slave trade, which started in the early 15th century. Portuguese explorers, led by figures such as Prince Henry the Navigator, initiated expeditions along the West African coast. These voyages resulted in the capture and enslavement of African people, initially seen as part of military campaigns against Muslim kingdoms. Later, these enslaved individuals became a source of labor for European colonies in the Americas. The first recorded shipment of African slaves to the Americas occurred in 1526, when Portuguese mariners transported enslaved Africans to Brazil. This marked the beginning of the triangular Atlantic slave trade that connected Africa, Europe, and the Americas. This forced migration dispersed millions of Africans across the Americas, including what would become the United States. Their descendants contributed profoundly to the nation's history. The impact of the African diaspora is evident in the cultural, social, and political fabric of Black American life. This history is shaped by struggles against enslavement, racial discrimination, and efforts toward civil rights and equality. In the context of United States history, figures such as Aggie of Turkey Island illustrate the complex realities of enslavement and resistance. Aggie, an enslaved woman in 18th-century Virginia, navigated legal and social constraints to fight for her and her children's freedom. Her story highlights the intertwined histories of African Americans and Anglo-Americans during the era of slavery. The beginning of the African diaspora is thus rooted in the brutal realities of slavery but also in the resilience and achievements of Black Americans. They have shaped the nation through their movements, leadership, and cultural contributions. As we reflected on this topic, it is important to recognize the ongoing influence of the African diaspora in contemporary society. Understanding this history can help us appreciate the rich cultural heritage and the struggles that have paved the way for future generations.